bringing this dude on. Hello, this is the Alternative Highs podcast. I'm Dustin Gone. This is Nick Cardinal. Said that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I met Nick just recently, about 4 weeks ago.
Golfing, eh?
Was that your
that was the first time
week? 4 weeks ago now? So yeah, he was my golf partner in the Barnstormers tournament.
Yeah.
That was it was a cool tournament. It was a fun day.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was cool.
My kid had a lot of fun. My cousin obviously had a lot of fun.
A little too much, eh?
Fuck, he was funny, guy. His food plate. Yeah. So we didn't even really get a chance to really talk about the real stuff.
Yeah, no, it was short, but it was good though.
You offered to come on, which was pretty cool because this is very new to me. This is extremely difficult. It's you got to be in a whole different vulnerability of life where you can ask a dude to sit in front of his cell phone and be serious with him.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. It's while we're talking about your greatness, I just wanted to let you know that I have a lot of people in my life, and they you checking in on me the other day because I've had some bad mental health.
Mm-hmm.
That meant a lot to me because you've only just met me, but you're wise beyond your years. Like I told Matt that after the game, I was like, man, this kid you're 27.
27. Yeah.
You're 15 years younger than me, 13 years younger than me, and you're wise beyond your years. I feel like I'm talking to someone that has been there and done that as long as I've been walking this earth. Trying to say this without insulting you as well.
No,
it's difficult.
I get it.
So are you in school or are you like on break? Like you're taking a pretty crazy academic course.
Yeah, so right now, I'm in classes right now, doing my master's in sports psychology. So kind of at your own pace type of deal, so I can still maneuver around work and stuff like that.
How did you get to, like, obviously you're a ball player.
Yeah.
And you're talented enough that you're on a pretty serious team. What's the league? The baseball league that you play in?
The Inter-County Baseball League.
It's pretty cool. And Chatham Barnstormers is
it's
pretty new here. But I'm going to put a pin in that. We'll go back to the Chatham Barnstormers. What brought you or made you go into the sports psychology? Like, how did you get to that decision? Because I didn't even know that was a thing until you said that to me.
Yeah, so kind of a long story. So growing up, I was pretty talented with baseball, and kind of let off the field stuff kind of influence my life, kind of away from baseball. But I just kind of found it very interesting, just getting to know the mental side of things. So not only with life, but also with baseball.
Was that your personal life that was bringing you to check that out? Are you checking yourself in that moment?
I would say a little bit, more so in the realm of sport, because baseball is such a mental game, right? So, trying to find an advantage in that field can, really expand your mind and also your game at the same time too. So it kind of really stuck with me, and I found it very, very interesting.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I mean, I was a hockey player a long time ago, and the rule was hockey's 90% mental, 10% physical. And I mean, pretty sure that goes across the board in any sport you play.
100%. I think baseball, along with golf too, right? Like it's all mental, right? It's, it's less physical.
Get on the golf game.
Yeah.
That's maddening.
For sure.
So what's the end goal in sports psychology? Like when you graduate, in my head, I'm like, what does one do in sports psychology? But in my head, on the other hand, like you're young, you can go like into a professional team and like be their mental health. Like what is, like, explain to me what you could do with it.
So kind of another reason why I kind of fell into the a master's of sports psychology was my old junior college coach. He's actually my boss right now. Anyway, but he had an old player that played for him. Ended up getting drafted. Played a few years in the Toronto Blue Jays minor league system there, and then eventually he retired. But then he got a master's degree in sports psychology, and then now I think he believed he ended up being the head. I believe the head coordinator for the Toronto Blue Jays, like the mental strength coach.
Really?
Yeah, so he kind of went to the same school I did.
Where's that at? Where do you take your schooling?
Right now, I'm doing it actually online.
Okay.
But you kind of, once you get that degree, you can kind of go anywhere you want.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty nice. So
how long of a course is that?
How long? Yeah, it's like a 2-year program. Yeah, just kind of your own pace or
cool, man.
However much work you put in.
So how long you been bouncing around in the baseball leagues? Like how many different leagues have you played in?
So started off my college career. I started at a junior college in Arizona,
okay,
and then had a little setback. I tore my rotator cuff in my labrum in my throwing arm, so had to take a year off, do some rehab, and then.
I should say that you're also the pitcher for the Chatham Barnstormers.
Oh yeah,
you're the starter.
Closer, yes.
Closer.
Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
How many mile an hour you throw?
I got up to 94.
Shut the front door.
Yeah, so it was cool.
Okay, back to Arizona.
Yeah. So anyway, started off my college career in Arizona. Loved it there. Didn't really pan out because I hurt myself, so I had to come back to Canada, do some rehab. But then went back to California, went to another junior college out there. And then from there, had a very successful year, ended up going to a Division I school, Fresno State in California. Stuck it out there for 3 years, and then I think I jumped to an independent league out here, actually in Detroit. So I was actually living out here, I think, 2 years ago.
Crazy.
Yeah. And then this past year, I was actually out in the Netherlands. So I got to pitch out in their Dutch Pro League.
What was the Netherlands like?
It was beautiful, man. It was a crazy experience, actually. It was,
I was going to say, all these, like, forget the money. I don't even, does it pay you? Is it the experience?
It's more.
What brings you to it?
For me, it's the love of the game. Like, the reason I'm still doing it now is because I've never lost the love for it. Money aside, not that big of a deal. I don't care about the money. It's more about the love of it, and like the life experiences you get from that.
I was gonna say,
teammates you meet, the coaches you meet, the people you meet. Like it's me right now, right? If I didn't play baseball, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
And that is a wild thing. The 6 degrees of separation. It's a wild world here that we live in. I'm sitting there trying to imagine. At what age were you in Netherlands playing ball?
26.
So just
this past year I was there.
Were you in LA too? Like, were you playing in LA?
This summer, no. So I was out coaching there. I was coaching in LA, and
okay, because I was gonna say I thought we talked in the golf tournament. I thought LA is where you come, right? You did come from LA.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're coaching. Where were you coaching?
I was coaching the California Collegiate League out there. It's one of the higher summer ball leagues for college athletes for the summer.
No shit.
Yeah, so
interesting.
it was an interesting experience. Yeah.
And the Netherlands, what's the difference between playing in that league to playing here now?
The league itself, I mean, baseball is baseball. It's the same everywhere you go. But I'd say the key difference is I think the game is more developed here.
Okay.
I think coaches, players have probably like a little more experience with baseball compared to Europe, I would say. Because baseball out there is just starting to pick up a little bit. So it's kind of brand new to the fans, communities, etc., stuff like that. So, but they're well on their way.
Yeah,
a lot of good players come out of Europe there too.
I can't even imagine the experience that would be to get to play the game you love in another country and just live your best life.
Well, tell
It
you what,
sounds
yeah,
amazing.
it was actually I almost didn't go. I remember they reached out to me, and I was sitting there talking to my mom, and she was like, "Are you actually going to do this?" And then, again, a bunch of doubt and insecurities of like, oh, I don't know how long, I don't know anybody there. Like I
Yeah,
was just hop on a plane
scary.
and
Yeah,
some dude's going to pick you up from the airport, right? So that was just kind of going through my head. But woke up, my mom woke me up, and she's like, "Hey, your flight's today. Are you still going to go?" And I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna take a chance. Yeah, like I'm gonna do this. Definitely stepped out my comfort zone.
imagine.
Flew. I think it was a 9-hour flight overseas for the first time alone,
Yeah,
and but probably the best decision I've ever made in my entire life.
is it somewhere you think you'll ever land back in?
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so. I really enjoyed it. The people out there were great.
that's amazing. So you mentioned mom. I'm dad, so I always like wonder what that's like for your when you're like my oldest is getting ready to move only an hour away. I wonder how mom felt during that. Like, what are you your mom real close?
Yeah, yeah, very, very close with my mom there. But we had older boys in the family. I'm the youngest of three boys, so every all my brothers went, left home and for other sports or
Other
reasons, right?
all
So
the are you all like got some crazy sport fanatic in there?
no, for me it's just baseball. I play a little hockey, but
Did the brothers do any sport?
yeah. So my oldest brother was a baseball player.
Okay,
My second oldest was a hockey player,
okay,
and then my third brother was actually handicapped,
okay.
so he was just a big
So,
spectator.
yeah,
Yeah,
love them watching you play.
absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, did the big brother want to get involved with the teaching of little brother, or
Well, there's a big age gap. So I think when he was 15 by the time I was born, so couldn't really pass too much knowledge. He ended up passing away at the age of 20. So I would have been like 5 years old at the time. But yeah, I
I'm
think
sorry
if
to
he
hear. I
don't apologize.
um,
That's life, man. But
yeah,
I'm sure if he was around, I think it would have been
yeah, yeah, yeah.
something very special. So
That's wild. It's so sad. I kind of took me off guard, man. Sorry, man.
yeah, it's okay.
Um, yeah. So, is mom and dad? Is mom just mom and dad, or
Oh yeah, mom and dad are still together. Yeah,
yeah?
yeah.
I got we're the same kind of me and my mom, man. I can't. I'm just a mama's boy at heart.
Yeah,
I
are
can't.
we all? Hey,
I can't sneak away from that that little personality trait of mine.
100%.
So how did baseball right from childhood? Was it you kind of had everything picked out? Like
I didn't
were
really.
you a smart kid growing up too? Like
I'd like to think I was smart. Did I make smart decisions?
the decision making skills and being all right in school, we're gonna call different. I was just bad across the board. I didn't have school. I didn't have the other. I was just good at
Hey, but
playing
you
sport.
made it through it though. Hey?
I kind of had an idea of what I was gonna do. I was
Yeah.
there wasn't what I wanted to do. I knew in grade 8, grade 9, and I was like, oh, there's no classes for to become a salesman. There, like obviously there is lots now, but
right.
back
Right.
then there was nothing. And I think my first sales job was selling hockey equipment at Sport Check, and then right from there I got a transport gig selling transports. So
Making it work.
I
Made it work,
to.
right?
I had to.
Absolutely.
So when you're where you grew up in the West in Alberta,
Yep. Yep. Northern Alberta.
how northern?
Ooh.
I remember we've talked about this, but I can't.
I'm probably 4 hours south of Fort McMurray, I should say. For those that don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, so when I was out there, I worked in Red Deer. I worked in Rainbow Lake up by
Yeah.
that area of the world is a little cooler.
A little, yeah.
a little more different.
It's chilly.
How long's your baseball season last there?
Oh, even if we have one, oh my god. Growing up, we probably couldn't get outside playing ball until probably mid-March, if we're lucky.
Yeah.
And baseball season was over quick because growing up, it's a lot different compared to the States. But in Canada, for baseball specifically, it's not very long.
No.
I think we were done, well, growing up, I think we were done by end of July, I would say.
Okay.
So you got like a good 2, maybe 3 months of
Yeah,
baseball.
it's a short season.
Very short, very short.
What'd you guys do out? What was this town called that you lived in?
Bonneville, Alberta.
Man, I feel like I've been to Bonneville.
You probably have, eh?
I probably rolled through it. So
Sure.
what did you guys do in Bonneville? What's mom and dad still live there?
Yep, mom and dad are still there. Growing up, I mean, you hang out with your friends and stuff like that. But as soon as you get to a certain age, it's if you're trying to go somewhere for sports, you definitely have to leave home.
As I say, it's pretty remote.
Like, very, yeah. I mean, it's no Edmonton, right?
No, like I lived in southern Alberta, I lived in mid Alberta, and I lived in northern Alberta.
Yeah.
And you are like,
I'm up there.
You're in the sticks.
The boonies, yeah.
Like you're like, the only thing you got to do is maybe hang out on the pipeline with the boys.
Yeah, that's about it, right?
Flicking darts.
Yeah.
I don't. It is an experience being out on that. Alberta. It's a whole nother life.
It's a big oil industry area, and I felt kind of out of place with some of my friends back home because either you're a farmer or you go.
I was gonna say, like I grew up not like that, but similar. But I felt out of place.
Yeah,
farmers and whatever else. We're a massive farming community in Richtown, but I felt out of place all the time. It wasn't a place of where it was. I outgrew it at 10 years old, probably.
Right, yeah.
But I can understand that being there. So when was the first time you left home? Was it junior college in Arizona?
Yeah, so I was...
that must have been such a, pardon my French, a shell shock to go from that part of Alberta. People don't understand, like, there's not a lot going on. Like, there's not...
No, it was...
the closest... When I was out there, like, there wasn't many hospitals in northern Alberta. There wasn't a lot of things. Like I had a fractured back out there, and I had to get flown into Edmonton because there was nothing to get a X-ray done.
Yeah.
So like, is that like that where you're from?
We have smaller hospitals and stuff like that. If something major, but it's always the city. The city is the big thing, right? That's I think my town is 5,000 people, right? So going back to it, like leaving home for the first time at 18, I was. A little backstory, right? So, like, when I was in high school, I played travel baseball with the Okotoks Dogs. There's like a little academy in Okotoks there.
Okay.
But we'd go on road trips like during the summer.
Okay.
So we'd extend our season, so we'd be playing from April all the way through October.
Oh, okay.
Right. So I'm very fortunate enough that they got to take us to a bunch of tournaments in the States. I think we ended up going to Cincinnati, a couple of Arizona trips and stuff like that. So
beautiful.
But what's weird about it is like you go to these places, like I wasn't unfamiliar with the area because you've been there a few times and stuff like that. But what really, really shocked me was when my parents dropped me off for the first time at college. They helped me move in. They moved me into my dorm, got everything all set up, filled my fridge with food and stuff, right? And then they just left. Right? And I was like, oh, okay, what am I going to do now? Right? Like, you just kind of left me in a big major city in the States, and I'm 18 years old, and I don't think that was a good idea. But it didn't really sink in until probably 2 weeks after they left because, again, these baseball trips, you'll go for 2 weeks or a week at a time and without mom or dad, and, you're having a good time, right? But it wasn't until probably 2 weeks where I got really homesick.
Oh yeah.
And not being able to go see mom or dad whenever I wanted to.
Oh,
It
hell
was
yeah.
always a phone call, right? And
Yeah.
same time, the friends I grew up back home in Bonnyville, right? They had our friend group was still together, right?
Yeah.
So I had to experience life from the outside. So all my friends were doing, going to movies or going to university together, et
Yeah.
cetera. They're still friends because they hang out with each other. Whereas I had a completely separate life now. So in a way, in the moment, I would say I didn't really enjoy myself because I was so stuck up on being home,
And being homesick.
being home and being homesick. But it wasn't until probably 2-3 months after that, I would say, that I
So
got.
what took it? What was the point that you're like, let's just make that work? How did you get to that in that 2-3 months of feeling self-doubt, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Not being
there's a couple times where I almost wanted to come home for
Oh
sure.
yeah, I get it.
But answer your question, honestly, man, it was just a lot of trial and error. A lot of phone calls with mom and dad and saying, stick it out. Stick it out. You can do this. Stick it out, and kind of just reassuring yourself that you're fine.
Yeah.
And what really helped me was you're only a 3-hour flight from home.
Yeah.
So that was in the back of your mind was reassurance that I needed that if something were to happen or something, I needed to be home. It was only a 3-hour flight.
That's pretty good.
So
I had to do the same thing, but when I was living in northern Alberta, because I would get so sick. And I come from a town of 3,300,
yeah,
where I'm from, and like this to me is the city. This is not that big of a city, but this is big to me. But when I was out west, I had to make those same phone calls. So I get you.
Yeah, no,
and I was a much different age than you too.
Each to their own, right?
I was a full blown man. I think I had small ones too at the time. Yeah, my son was just a babe.
Yeah,
I was plugging her away. That's fun. So, what's future? What's goals? What's your dreams? What are you hoping for?
Oh boy. Well, right now I'm at an age and it's probably a stage. Sorry, not age, but a stage in my life where it's getting a little complex, running up in age. Right, I'm not 22 anymore. I guess when I say when I was 22, I thought I had X amount of years to figure it out. Right? Yep. And now that I'm getting close to that age and I don't have it figured out yet. But
what's that age?
It's a day by day. I'd say 28. It was weird, man, because when I was young, I was probably 12 years old, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be married by 25 and have kids, have my life figured out. Now you surpass that, and you're like, what the fuck? What happened? I think life just kind of takes its course, right? I think things
happen when they're ready to happen.
Exactly.
If you force something, it's never going to work.
And that's what I learned too with life experience. You can't force anything. You just got to let it happen, let it develop.
Sucks because I'm an impatient mother trucker.
It's funny too, right? Because that was another life lesson I had to learn, right? Yeah. As bad as you want something to happen, you're gonna try every ounce of your body. You're gonna try and force it and make it happen, right? But
if you love it enough, yeah.
But I think in that moment, if you try to force something, I think you lose the love for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You definitely, maybe not the full thing, but you'll lose that edge for it and that drive.
Yeah, a little bit, right?
The love will kind of always sit there. Like
it'll always be there,
I use a hockey for me.
Yeah.
I love it. It was one of my favorite things. For the love of God, will not turn that TV on and watch a hockey game. If my son or if my niece have a game, I will show up, I will watch it, I will not do any more or any less of hockey. I cannot look at it. I am so upset and I miss the game so much, and I took for granted that I could do this. Now that I'm not able to do this, there's ways around it. In my head, Mr. Sports Psychologist, I don't want to do it if I can't do it normally, which is a disgusting mindset because I could bring talent to so many other things. It is the reason that I love cycling so much. It is literally the only thing that I can do with my peers that is normal. I can't go on the ice anymore. I can't do the run around the bar. I can't do the things. Some of the things I don't really care about doing anymore either. Like
Right.
I've grown up. I'm a different person now. But hockey, it's that one love. I'll never not love it. I won't let my family get rid of my hockey equipment, but I will not let my hockey equipment come into my house.
It's a love-hate
I am
relationship
a
now,
psychopath with my hockey.
like a true Canadian.
Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah, I get it when you say the love. So, and I was trying to figure out what the rest of you got minus baseball. Just what's Nick want to do? Take the baseball and love it and put it over here.
Oh,
Nick, the not baseball player.
the non-athlete.
You're always going to be an athlete. Nick, just Nick.
Okay. You know, so going back to our earlier conversation, being in Europe, I think that's where I kind of truly found myself and really got to explore like what I wanted to do as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think my biggest thing is like, I love traveling, man.
Yeah.
Going overseas really opened up my point of view, you know, experiencing different cultures, different foods, just kind of how things operate in different countries compared to North America. I think that was probably one of the most humbling experiences I've ever been a part of.
So like having this master's could help just travel every.
It's definitely a possibility. It depends, you know, what you want to do with it, right? Like I said, life happens for a reason, and you know, if something comes along the way that takes me out to Europe, then so be it, right?
Yeah.
It's
so try and get some. I love. It's my dream. I've been to a couple places in my life. I've not experienced the world. I have crazy life experiences, but I don't have the life experience of travel and this. And it is something that I need to do. I daydream about it. I'm in some legal matters right now, but the moment that all that is done,
well, that's all cleared up. Get on a plane, man.
I'm done. I'm out of here.
Get out. Where are you going?
I'm gonna try and hit England next month as just to vacation to like this part of the summer. My mental health was bad, so I need something. I'm gonna get away. I'm gonna do England.
Yeah, exactly.
But I want to travel. I want to go to Thailand. I want to go to. I got a friend in Prague right now. I'd like to go check out. Bali. I'd like to figure out where I'd like to be a snowbird at.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where I want to do that. I've been maybe Portugal. I don't know. There's a lot of things. I have no clue. Anywhere?
Anywhere, really.
Like,
anywhere other than.
I don't have. Greece is a bucket list. Bali a bucket list.
I heard nothing but good things about Greece. Yeah, I heard nothing but good
beautiful.
things. But I heard it stinks there though, so I don't know what that's about. But shit.
My cousin just left there today. He was on the beach all week. His pictures were looking pretty fantastic. I got a couple other friends that just moved there. I don't understand all these people my age moving places. Like how are you guys? I'm just figuring out life. Like I'm 6 years sober, and I learned how to walk around the same time. So I am like a 6-year-old kid because I started drinking and doing drugs at 14. So my whole life is like, I'm so far behind all my peers. It's not even funny. And all my you live with one of my very best friends, and it's funny to watch because he's a couple of years younger than me even, and I'm just like light years, but I don't compare it. It's just, it's wildly,
it's different.
He's a whole nother ball game himself.
Oh, he is
sure. I love the guy. He's just one of the greatest people. This world doesn't know what they have.
100%. He's a solid dude.
He was just nominated
Chief Counsel.
to Chief Counsel.
Yeah.
So, like, I really hope that the people give the man the chance because he is the game changer. I mean,
100%.
what if I've been trying to get him to come on with me?
He won't do it, eh?
He will.
You think
He
so?
will. Matt's he's a stud. He just wants all of his friends to do well in life,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
if he can help in any way, and he just
Absolutely.
all he does was give his free knowledge to everybody else.
100%. And that's what, since living with him for, I think it's been like close to a month now.
He'll change
but,
your life.
He's always been trying to help me out.
Yeah, he does.
Any other way, he's just, hey, what do you need something? And it's always been, he's been very gracious, I should say.
And the cool thing is it's not because you're a guest either.
It's
just him.
eh?
He does that to everybody. Christmas time, the man makes sure every kid has a present in his community. Like he's a sweetheart. I could go out with him, Matt, but
He's a special guy, that's for sure.
Man. So I feel like we touched out on quite a bit there.
Yeah, no, for sure.
How you feeling?
I feel great, man.
That was a good talk, man.
I like it.
I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Thanks, bud.
Of course.
All right, man.